Don, you made a liar of all the key performance indicators, so why would you win it then?
We've got away from it a little bit in the last half. I think the clearance count in the last half was significantly against us, and we did more damage on transition tonight, which was the key one, if you like.
Was that because of Lynch?
Lynch had it was a good return from Lynchy. I mean, obviously he came back for his first game last week, and I thought tonight, his efforts, not only in attack but also I thought some of his defensive stuff was a really high standard.
The signing of Rory Sloane, what impact do you think that had on tonight's game? The attitude, the approach to the game.
Yeah, I think it definitely had some impact. I mean, for the players, I mean, they love playing with Rory, and to find out yesterday that he was going to be here for a long period was fantastic news for the footy club. So it certainly would have given them a boost, but they still have to come out and play. And that was the most pleasing part tonight, was that we came out with a real intent to play and put pressure on and sustain that for long periods, which hasn't been the case. So that consistency we've been looking for with that pressure side of it was back to a good level, and that allowed us to stay and play in the game.
There was a lot of aggression out there tonight, this incident with Taylor Walker.
Yeah.
What's your view on all that? The way they approached it.
Yeah, look, they came with a real intent, and both sides did. It was a high pressure game of footy. Both sides have got a fair bit to play for, given where we were sitting on the ladder, and we always knew it was going to be a tough game. So I think that was just the intensity of the game.
Which boxes you reckon you ticked off tonight? When you said last week you were on the right path, which ones do you think you've even further gone down that path tonight?
I think it was probably the pressure side of things, to be honest. That's what I felt. The players were able to sustain a high level of pressure. And when that dropped off, that's the nature of this game. It's a 120-minute sort of war of attrition, and I thought our guys tonight were strong in that space.
That 8 points, 8 minutes to play. The things that you did this time, not to reflect back on the showdown when it went the other way, but that you did better this time to hang on to that lead and advance it? I
think it's always a challenge when you get close games, and whether you sort of always reckon there's a risk if you start to try and shut up shop, and it's really dangerous if you send a signal that you're not trying to score to the opposition, especially when they were winning it at the clearance and it was going forward. So to our guys' credit, they kept attacking. We butchered a couple. We had a couple of real easy opportunities which we would rue, but they were still prepared to keep attacking the game, which I think is important at the end of any game. And that was the same in the Port game, to be honest, until the last 40 seconds, where we obviously lost it there. But that was probably their mentality all night, was just to keep taking the game on in all phases.
You were challenged in defence without Talia, so why did you get a win out of two rather inexperienced men working together in Keith and Hardigan?
Yeah, it comes down to their effort, really. I mean, we've seen Alex play last year, and we knew he played some really good footy for us at the level. He hasn't been able to build on it so far this year because of some early injuries, and then he's returned to play. And his last couple of weeks in the SANFL have been really good, and we know he competes. We know he's got some talent in that space, and he knows he works in well with the other backs. So he had some good moments tonight, which was good.
Don, do you think Tex has a case to answer for that hit on Zach Tui?
Look, I'll let the powers that be do. I can't comment on either umpiring or reports. It's so. I mean, I've seen the incident. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in slow motion to know the effect. I mean, obviously, Tui was able to come back on and play the game out. So I'll let the AFL deal with that.
What was your counsel to Taylor, particularly when we've noted players when they get reported in the game come out to a shout? So what was your counsel to?
Yeah, we had a quick chat at quarter time. I said, look, mate, it's happened. I think you just get on playing the game. I mean, the reality is we can't go back and do anything about it, and clearly we don't know what the outcome's going to be. So we've got a game to play here. Focus on that, and he was fine.
You talked about the aggression and the tougher approach, that you had tonight. But a lot of games during this season, you have been under pressure and you haven't produced that. What turned it on tonight?
That's a good question, to be honest. It's I think that we're in a situation where we need to do that to stay alive in the season. That's the reality of our situation. Is our players are a really proud group, and they're not suddenly walking around happy with what's sort of happened throughout the year, and they were keen to do something about that. Now it's a step. It's 1 week. We've done that. Now we've got to continually and consistently do it. But with some of the games in the recent times after the bye, we're sort of seeing some signs, and some of the ball movement tonight, I thought our ability to try and take the game on and was back to a level that we maybe haven't seen consistently this year.
That pressure in the forward half as well. Obviously, you probably went a bit tall. Last week he brought in Lockie Murphy. He made there was a good tackle to force a goal. Obviously, Luke Brown did something similar as well. You feel that sort of worked pretty well for you?
Yeah, and the numbers came up at one stage. I think we had 20 odd tackles in our forward half. I think last week we had 6 or 7. So a lot of things in this game over a lot of years have changed, but some things haven't. And pressure on the ball is one which is always going to hold you in good stead. And to the credit of the players tonight, they brought that.
And Don, the form turnaround, is it as much about getting good players back in the side?
Well, it's a combination. I mean, you could look at, we had 5 changes from last week, and we brought back in Murphy, Betts comes in, Knight comes in, obviously Keith came in late. I'm trying to think of the other one came in was Atkins came back after his form. So there's a combination of that, but also it's and I wouldn't say it's a form turnaround. I'd say we had a night where we played some good footy. There's still things we need to work on. Clearly, our contest side of things was less than we'd ideally like, and our clearance numbers, especially our CB, we were beaten pretty comprehensively at CB. So, but that said, we take the win and we go forward to the next game, knowing we've got some things to work on. But there was some good positives tonight.
You touched on Atkins, 2 games back in the sample.
Yep.
Pleasing to see him play so well.
Yeah, it was actually. He's had a sort of a mixed year, and obviously we sent him back there with some things to work on. And to his credit, he took that on board and he's worked on them, and he comes out and plays like that tonight. So we know the quality, but it's sometimes just need a reminder of actually what creates playing well and doing things. And to his credit, he had a good night. Now the challenge, like the rest of us, is going to be to back that up week in, week out.
There's been a lot of negatives about the side this year, but surely one of the positives has been the performances of Wayne Miller. His evolving as a really running back player, and just how important is he to all this?
Yeah, he's continuing to grow. We put him down back, and we think he's the sort of player that gives, as you saw tonight, some really good rebounds. Some of his aerial stuff tonight was really high quality as well, I thought. And he's a guy that makes good decisions with the ball in his hand. So, as a guy that's probably played 30 odd games now, some good signs for Wayne. But sort of what we'd expect as a third year player in coming and doing what he's doing. But no, some good stuff from him tonight.
In terms of injuries, Paul Seaman seemed to come off late with a bit of a head knock or something.
Yeah, I think he just nicked his eye there at one point, so it came off with the blood draw and stuff, and I think it was close to the end. But from all reports, sounds like we've got away with no injuries.
And Daniel Talia, how's he? Obviously close tonight, so you're pretty confident about him next week?
Yeah, well, he had a run this morning, and down there watching him run, it just wasn't quite right. It's just a 6-day break just makes it really tight. You've got to keep making significant progress every 24 hours, and we'd be confident he'd be right for next game. I mean, it just wasn't going to be the level to be able to perform that we need, and we've got Alex sitting there, so it was better having a fully fit guy than someone who was probably going to be struggling. I would have thought so.
Cole Hartigan, he's struggled last week, and tonight, is it just a confidence thing that he's going through? Or?
Yeah, I'd have to look at his game in more detail, to be honest. I mean, he had a fair task on tonight, and at times the way Geelong were moving the ball was pretty quick and trying to isolate 1v1s forward. So he had his hands full with a really good player in Tom Hawkins. So I've looked at the tape in more detail.
How do you approach the rest of the season? Is each game a mini final as such?
Not so much. I mean, I think the reality is we've got to keep winning to put ourselves in a position to play finals, and we probably, as much as we understand that's what we need to do to get that outcome, probably more focus goes on our process around what it actually takes, and that was some things we focused on this week that we were able to execute. We've got to be able to back that up in 9 days against Brisbane, up in Brisbane, who are playing some good footy as well, and that's when you're going to really see a return to genuine consistency in terms of our form, and that's what we need to keep working on. We keep training it, keep recognising it, keep rewarding it with our playing group, and demanding it out of each other.
And breaking through the 100-point barrier, that must be pleasing.
Oh, well, that's just a byproduct of some of the other things. That's the reality. If you're prepared to actually sustain pressure on the ball, and you're prepared to actually move it with some speed when you get it, things happen, and that's what the players, to their credit, were able to take the game on tonight in that space, and saw some really positive signs.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Don.